Yo, what's up, guys? It's Topics here, and got a commentary for you, believe it or not. I know it's been a long time, but I promised I'd get at least a couple more of these out before the end of the season. Mists is actually a dungeon that I did not have a commentary on yet, believe it or not. I think I did like a commentary on half the dungeons, and this is one of the half that I didn't do, so let's jump into it here. So, starting off, gathering these spike claws. I have last stand up as I gather this pull, and I kick that harvester. And then I have spell reflect up, because I spell reflected one of the soul cleavers. But yeah, generally you can just send all cooldowns offensively on this pull. I've also seen people do the left pull when you come out of the gate instead of this. That's also fine too. I don't find there's a huge difference. The left pull has 2 casters, so it's potentially a little bit harder. Maybe not as ideal in a pug. But you want to reflect these soul cleavers when you see their cast about to go off. Which is right now for them. And then once you kill the big guy, you want to kite, because those soul cleavers, they will heal if they do damage to the tank. So, all in all, don't be afraid to send defensives, and you can just send all your offensive cooldowns on that pull. So we're just getting the buff, and then I had the hunter trap one of the casters, because doing this pull with 2 casters is just suicide, because you have to kite, and you have to kick, and you have to be defensiving the soul cleavers. So this is a very difficult pull. I'll try and talk through it a little bit. So obviously I'm kiting out of the puddles there, but then you see you also got to kick the caster. And then you also have to be watching the soul cleavers and making sure you're defensiving when they're about to hit you. So I just put up spell block, which should help out a lot with all their casts in like the next 20 seconds. So you definitely want to make sure you have spell block up for this pull, and you're spell reflecting as much as you can. And once that first caster is killed off, you can kind of see that I'm heading back towards the trapped harvester so that we can pull that in. Again, you don't want to be doing 2 casters in this pull. If you're a tank that has bad magic mitigation, like maybe Guardian Druid or Brewmaster, you might actually want to split this pull up, because there's like no good solution, right? You don't want to do 2 casters, and if you're a tank with bad mitigation, you probably don't want to do the 2 soul cleavers either, because there's just going to be so much magic tank hits. Anyway, we're finishing off this pull. I would say it's a little slow. You want to be maybe closer to the 3-minute mark, not 3:30, but we still pulled it off fairly clean. So charging in here, kicking that first cast. You can reflect that first cast, but we're not in Discord, and so I usually don't, because it confuses everybody when you reflect and then kick. People just forget that Prot warriors can reflect the first one, so I just kick it just to make sure our kicks don't get out of order. I would also set a kick rotation before the key. We did that. The kick rotation is supposed to be me, the Ret, and then the Sham. The monk actually kicked in there, so thankfully no one went out of order, but it should be me here, this next kick that's about to come out. So yeah, I kick there, it should be the Ret next. So yeah, the name of the game is you just, you kite the boss out of the puddles once those start casting, and you just need to make sure you're hitting your kick rotation. And that's literally about it for this boss. This boss is literally managing your kicks and kiting the boss out. Here's the fear. The fear goes off for some weird reason, and the monk dies. I guess our shaman forgot to tremor totem. You can see the shaman also almost dies here. Thankfully, the ret gets a battle res out literally right before the boss burn. So this could have been super scuffed, but the pull was kind of saved. However, I think we only get to like 50% here because I'm assuming like with the battle res going out, the shaman almost dying, like people were not ramping properly or were not completely ready to send their cooldowns, because you want to get into the 30s. Like if you get sub 40 and you're in the 30 percentage on the first burn, that's ideal. So we were definitely a little behind, but as long as you get to 50, the boss is still killable. But if you don't get to 50% in that first burn, you're most likely going to be 3-phasing this. So now we are... Now this boss is just scripted. We're just doing the same thing, doing our kicks, kiting the boss out. If you're playing Prot Pally, you probably don't need to call your kicks as crucial, because you can always Divine Toll or Avenger's Shield in an emergency. You have unlimited kicks, but any other tank, you really need to make sure you have this kick rotation down. Like if I was doing a 16 mists, I would probably demand that they're in Discord, because one missed kick is just going to be a wipe. This spear bolt goes through on anyone on a 16 and they're insta dead. So yeah, if you're any other tank than Prot Pally and you're doing like a 16 miss, it's like mandatory Discord in my opinion. So we got that burn down to sub 10%, so we're just going to finish the boss off. And just a tip, anything around, I think it's like around 17 or 18%. If you get the boss to 17 or 18%, you can actually probably finish it off. It's a little brutal at 17 or 18%. You obviously, the second burn, you just want to kill the boss, but because we were at 8%, we were able to still finish it off. So again, now we're probably a minute behind because of that death, and we did not burn the boss as much as we should have the first time, but we can make up that time. So the hunter's wall pulling. On high mist keys, you want to have a wall pull class. It saves you, a minute and a half maybe, because you can pull this mob early. So the mob's coming in. I AoE taunt as soon as they come through. Looks like I got aggro. The hunter turtled actually, which is smart. If you're a wall pull class, you have to have a way to drop aggro too, usually, because one of those defenders will just charge towards you immediately. This is a mistake on my part. I kited the mobs here and got trapped. I probably should have went this other way where there was room for the melee to walk through, because I think the shaman tries to walk through this and dies. Yeah, he's just insta dead. You cannot be staying in those puddles on high keys. But yeah, this mob's got a guardian. I'm obviously spell reflecting or popping a defensive for every magic tank hit. It's coming up again in a second. So it's the Anima Slash. That's a tank buster. You want a defensive or spell reflect on high keys for every one of those. If you have to take it natty, try and call for an external or maybe even health pot. But yeah, you want a hunter, a druid, evoker to wall pull here. I think Lock or Unholy might be able to wall pull with a pet, but those are not ideal classes because they usually don't have a way to drop aggro. A hunter, druid, or evoker are the classes you want. So yeah, the rest of the maze, you guys know how it works. You're just finding the pattern and going through the doors. Go ahead and send damage pot, offensive CDs whenever they're up in the maze. At this point, you're just basically trying to get through the maze as fast as possible. A lot of the maze is easy for Prot Warrior. It's just, you know, playing your class right. If you get the defenders, or sorry, if you get the guardians, again, just defensiving or spell reflecting their tank buster, enema slash. Kiting the mobs out of puddles. Usually a healer or a DPS should be doing the pattern here, because as you see, it's going to be pretty hard as a tank to do that. You're trying to kite the mobs out and making sure you're living. Take a sip of coffee. Nothing like a good cup of morning Joe. Alright, so the frog mini boss. I have seen some teams pull extra trash onto the mini boss. I think that goes bad a lot of the times. If we were in a really high key, maybe, you know, you need to do it, but even all the way up to like a 17, you don't need to be pulling trash on this mini boss. You just play clean, do a lot of damage, and you'll be fine. But yeah, this one's annoying because you have to move out as melee. There's like a frontal, and then he leaps around, so you kind of lose some downtime there. This is a really bad mini boss to pull trash on, though, in my opinion. The other mini boss, the dragon one, is fine. I actually prefer that one because all that one does is a frontal, but it's a lot more telegraphed. Like, you can see the cone of the frontal, and then you just have to kite it out of the pool on the floor. So that the dragon one's a lot easier to pull trash with than this. This is probably the mini boss that nobody wants to see. Don't know how the hunter died there, but I think they stood in the big green swirly that this mini boss does, if I saw that correctly. So we're gonna finish this off and continue the maze. Probably a couple packs left still. If you guys see, the reason I went left there is because my maze solver up here says to go left, and that was the left exit. However, I think this is a little bit off. We'll see when we go back. That's the thing, if you're using the maze solver, definitely like pay close attention still and don't just assume that it's right. Unfortunately, sometimes it's a little bit buggy. We'll see. It's telling me that the entrance right to the left is the way to go, right? Which, yeah, so I'm gonna back up here a second. So the entrance right to the left of it would be this one, right? Because we come in here and then it's an immediate left. So that's what this looks like, right? However, it's actually this one right here, which looks like it's the fake one, right? Because you come in the entrance right here, you go straight. This looks like the fake one. But that just wasn't the case, so you just got to be careful with this maze solver. The directions on it can be a little bit off. So, anyway, we're going into this pack. This pack's probably the second hardest pack because there's 2 casters you have to interrupt. There's the Guardian with the Tank Buster, and there's a Defender, which is a leap. But yeah, you can't let those casts go off. The Tender will heal the entire mob basically to full. The Bramblethorn Coat will like reduce damage taken. So, yeah, you're kiting, you're kicking 2 casters, and you're tank defensiving the Guardian on this one. The only pull tougher than this is double Guardian because it's 2 tank busters like every 15 seconds. So most tanks do not have defensives for all those. So you have to really have like full. You have to have all of your abilities up for double Guardian pack basically. If you're a tank without a way to mitigate magic damage. So that's just why Prot Pal and Prot War are so good this season. But anyway, we finished this off no problem. Going to the next pack here. So this is the double Guardian pack. So this is actually the hardest pack in the entire maze. It's double Guardian with 2 casters. So you're defensiving both tank busters, and you're having to kick both casters. So yeah, I would say this pack right here is actually the hardest one of the maze. So I reflected that first one, and I walled the second one. And based on my defensives, I will probably... so I demoralizing shouted. I took the first one natty, and then I demoralized shouted the second one so that it would cover the tick of the first one and the initial hit of the second one. This one I spell reflected, and the second one I spell blocked. So again, you can see my health bar. It's wanting to drop there, but I'm keeping a big ignore pain up, and I'm using defensives. So shield walled that, and it is still up for the second one. You want to shield wall like the very last second, by the way, so that it covers both tank busters if you end up getting to. I think I end up getting hit again here with one, yeah. So you can see it ticking my health. They're not too bad on a 15 on Prot War, but on 16, 17 they really start hitting hard. You can definitely die if you do not play your defensives properly. But okay, we're going to the second boss here. Usually you want to send Lust, which we just did. Name of the game for tanks on this is just kicking the tank buster. You will get one shot and die if that tank buster hits you, so you have to kick it. And then it's just dodging the arrows and kiting the boss appropriately. One thing I noticed that will really help you stand out as a tank is when that Vulpin spawns, kite the boss away from it for your group. Just in case a CC doesn't go out on that ad, you want it to be as far from it as possible so that it cannot get any of your party. So as a tank, you're just moving the boss to where it needs to go, kicking it, and dodging arrows. This is bad RNG here. The Vulpin's right where we need to be, so you can see we have some stuns out on it. I try and stun it there, but I think it was too far for my shockwave. Definitely don't be afraid to rallying cry one of the AoE phases here when the boss spawns the ads. You can send out a rallying cry because there's ticking damage on the party. I usually do it like around the second set, sometimes the third set. But yeah, so I storm bolt the ad to slow it down and kiting the boss away, kicking the tank buster. The timing of this boss, we were definitely behind. I think we didn't pull it until about 15.5 minutes. That's pretty tight. You want to be pulling this boss more like around 13.5 to 14 minutes ideally to be super safe on time. But pulling it at 15.5 is still fine. But I would say, like, if you don't pull this boss until past 17 minutes, you're probably not going to time the key, unless it's a really low key. But like on anything higher than this, if it was past 17 minutes when you're pulling second boss, I would, unless you want to complete the dungeon, I would probably call it. Because it's a good 4-minute boss, 4.5-minute boss, and you need like 10 minutes left to do the last part of the dungeon. So there's a lot of trash in the last part of the dungeon, plus a boss. So but we're gonna get this last AoE phase here. Kick the tank buster. That Vulpin literally spawned right on top of where we were. I hate when this happens, especially if you have a full melee comp or something. I could only imagine how bad this is. They just wouldn't even be able to hit the ad. So, however, I wouldn't recommend playing full melee in this dungeon anyway, unless you have a lot of practice, because the kicks on the first boss would just be really difficult. So as you can see, timer, we have 12 minutes left in this dungeon, so we should be fine. But yeah, if you have less than 10 minutes here, probably not going to time. So just keep that in mind. So we're going to skip this first pack, which I always recommend doing. You always want to skip class in this dungeon as well. We have a monk, so the monk can paralysis and Ring of Peace this ad. If you have Evoker, you can Sleepwalk. If you have a Road, you can like Sap and Shroud. If you have a lock that's really good, they can actually place a gateway that gets passed on the left side, but not a whole lot of many locks know how to do that because it's a very tough gate there. DH could prison. But yeah, you always want to bring out a skip class, especially for the beginning of the dungeon too. So, but I'm going to go out, throw a couple axes, get aggro on those mobs, and then I'm going to charge in here, and I AoE taunted this mob just to make sure I have aggro. And then yeah, you can send damage pot, all your CDs on this pack. This is a pretty standard pull on high keys. So I have last stand up, and now I'm just spamming rage into ignore pain. You want to dump a ton of rage into ignore pain on this pack because you take a ton of damage. When the Staghorn sends the AoE Acid Nova, you can rally if it's up. I think I might rally the next one. Let's see. So it's casting Acid Nova. Yes, I just sent rally right there. Right before it went off. And then you just want to be stunning the acid casts that go out because it's a dot on people. If you can stun these and prevent it from going out, or delay it, that's good, because there can be some nasty overlaps where you get one of these dots while the AoE is going out. So you want to try and avoid that as much as possible. So because we sent cooldowns on that pack, I'm just going to pull a 4-pack here. I prefer doing this. I've seen people do 2 giant pulls back to back, but I think it's very tough when you don't have CDs on high keys. So I'm just doing this 4-pack, which is still difficult enough. There's still an AoE going out, some dots going out. But yeah, letting cooldowns come back up. Shaman will have Ascendance in like 25 seconds. So, because after this, I'm going to do a big pull. So yeah, I'm going to gather the pack behind me, and then I'm going to leap over and gather the other 4. So yeah, because they should have cooldowns up in a second. Pretty sure Shaman will send Ascendance here. Yep. So he sends it immediately. He's about to pop off probably. And again, stun these acids that come out as much as you can with AoE stops, single target stuns, whatever it may be. But this is like a full melee mob. There's not any casters, so it's a fairly easy mob to tank. There's just a lot of damage going out to the party. So yeah, we just absolutely melted this. At the end of this pull, you can go into boss. Like, you do not need to finish it off. We just chose to finish it off because it was melting. So I asked the party if they wanted to do boss or trash. They said trash, most likely because of CDs. So we're just going to go and finish the trash off here. So depending on the mini-maze, you can sometimes only have to pull 2 packs here. Sometimes you have to pull 2 packs plus the flyers. Because we had a bad mini, because we had a bad maze for trash, we actually have to pull 3 packs here. So I think I'm going to tag in these flyers as soon as I see them pass. That's just a 3-pack that flies overhead. Yeah, so I'm going to throw an axe at one of them, pull them in. I don't recommend pulling these in at the start of the pull. It's just a lot of damage. But you can chain them in at the end of the pull. Is fine. So, and then when we finish this off, we have 1 pack left. So if you want to know how many packs you have to pull, you just look at your percentage when you come out of the maze. You'll be at 2 different percentage points. If you're at 52% when you come out of the maze, you can skip that 3-pack right away, but then know that you need to pull those flyers in here at the end. If you're at 58% after the maze, and you do that skip, you only have to pull 2 packs. So that's kind of how you know is whether you're at 52 or 58% coming out of the maze. And we were only at 52 this run, so I knew that I had to pull in that flyer pack. So yeah, we're going to finish this off. This is going to be the last of the trash, and then we'll go into the boss. But yeah, these are just the same packs from before. The boss room, it's just the Acid Nova AoE going out. I don't think Hunter had anything there. It looks like they had Turtle available. They probably should have turtled that AoE. Because yeah, this, you know, this will definitely one-shot you as a DPS if you don't pop a defensive. So you need a defensive for every one of those as a DPS, or your team needs to help you out with an external or cooldown. So tip on this boss is you always want to pull it out of center. Never just go fight it in center, because, you know, your team drops these acid puddles, right? And you don't want those to be in the center, because when the boss goes to the center during its intermission, you don't want there to be stuff all over the floor there. So always pull the boss away from center. And then, you know, playing a warrior on this fight is OP with Heroic Leap, because you can just leap the Mind Link off super easily like that. And then you want to make sure your party's stacking. It's crazy to me how many groups still don't stack. Like, I've been in pugs even on 15s and they are not stacking. But you want to stack so that those puddles are grouped. You can see how grouped our puddles are right now. It's really nice. So these ads that come in, I always taunt the first one, and then I throw axes at the rest of them. Once they're grouped, you can send like your shockwave or some stuns to help keep them grouped for the team to DPS down. But yeah, just getting aggro on those ads, grouping them up, and then leaping away. So I think these puddles are going to drop one more time, and then we are going to get the intermission phase. So the DPS should have sent Lust here. I don't know what the shaman's doing. We lusted as the shield was ending right now for some reason, which is fine. I mean, the shield broke fast. You probably want to lust on the shield on high keys, but he probably just forgot to press it. But lust is rolling now. The boss should be burning. Yeah, the rest of this fight is just rinse and repeat. It's stacking as a group, dropping the puddles close together. As a tank, getting aggro on the ads, grouping them up. And then, yeah, just making sure you have defensives and cooldowns for the shield phases. There's not much else for this boss. The only way you wipe on this boss is if you're not grouping those puddles well enough. Maybe you get hit by a puddle. Or if maybe someone dies during the shield phase, because it's a lot of damage going out. Those are like the only two ways I see you dying on this boss. Both of which are extremely avoidable, so this is one of those bosses that you can just definitely win with good play. It's not like a boss that you feel like there's nothing you can do on it, so that's nice at least. First boss in this dungeon is definitely the hardest boss, especially on high keys with all the kicks and having to burn the boss down to a certain percentage. Yeah, I think I'm going to skip a little bit. So I think we got kind of lazy with our puddle drops at the end here. It's pretty bad. But we still made it work. Boss is about to die. But yeah, the time on this wasn't the best. I've actually had a faster 15 time, which is why I didn't get any IO here. You know, why I didn't get like 1 or 2 IO or something. But yeah, I think it was, you know, the hunter died a few times just on trash and stuff, and then that first boss took a little bit longer than it should have, which is probably why we're a little short on time. So yeah, that's it for this commentary. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for the support, and keep an eye out for more content coming soon. Thanks.